The World Series of Day of Defeat tournament just wrapped up in Philadelphia, and I was surprised by how many teams picked DoD Armory in their best of 3 matchups. So I wanted to talk about this relatively recent addition to the competitive map pool. Armory's the descendant of Ramel and Murderette. Both maps were considered boring and mostly unpopular in leagues and tournaments. But Armory seems to be a big improvement in the eyes of the community. Here we are watching Corey Price from Team UKZ putting together a streak on the bridge. He's hitting some nice shots and then pushing forward and taking map control. The fundamental skill in this game is knowing how to fight from spots where you have the advantage and then move past the danger zones while the enemy is respawning. Corey's doing that well right now. Unfortunately for Corey, pushing forward and trying to cap out isn't the best play here. And even worse, it's almost never the best play on Armory. Now, we're going to watch G-Skill, the best team at this tournament. They're going to play through a similar situation. They've just cleared the bridge, and we're going to watch how they're taking advantage of the enemy respawn. Surprisingly, G-Skill gives up most of the space they just created to sit back and wait for the enemies in these alleys and hallways where they have better chances of winning their duels. Even though G-Skill ends up holding both point-scoring flags for the vast majority of the half, they won't even attempt a full cap until there's 30 seconds left. That's a problem. But solving it could make this the most exciting map in the game. So what can we do to improve the situation? I see 3 possibilities. The first is that you could restructure the routes to make it more friendly to attackers going to the first flag. Think about like Harrington. The middle of the map is pretty even. The defender has a little bit of an advantage as you get a little bit past middle. But once you get to the end of your route, you've got sandbags, you've got stairs, you've got ramps, you've got ways to multi-frag from there. And on this map, you really need that if you want to cap out, right? You need to have good fights so that you can take on 3 or 4 people and really force the enemy team to play good defense after you've won your route. The second option would be to open up some connections in the map away from the bridge. I'm talking about like in the old Ramel and Murderette, there was a street. Once you won bridge as the allies, like you could get across and pick off reinforcements going into the rope house. If you won the rope house as a heavy, like you could go and cause havoc in the sniper loft. I'm not sure I love that idea for Armory just because of the size of everything. It might be a little bit too much, but there could be doors. There could be a small passageway or something that connects without giving too much influence across the routes. But being honest, I don't really love those options because this map is pretty good as it is. When we're watching these demos, all these fights are competitive. They're pretty good duels. You know, each team has some areas where they have the advantage. Especially on the bridge, there's lots of little different areas where people are using them to get little timing advantages and fights that they can play well when the other team feels like they're forced or they have to make a play. And I like that. That's good. And I feel like, messing with the map layout and structure might mess with that in ways that are unintended. And I wouldn't want to mess with that. This is a good map as it is. So I think I'd be leaning towards the third option, which would really be to just keep the map how it is and adjust the flag layout. So right now, the 2 first flags don't really see much action. I mean, teams are trying to attack them, but the higher up you go, the less the teams are actually going for those first flags. It's really dangerous. You've got a longer run back if you die there. And it's much better to take good fights when you're that far away from your spawn than it is to take fights farther away from your spawn. So I think instead of a 4 flag map, Armory might play better as a 5 flag map where you keep the bridge flag and get rid of the side hall flag and move one flag just past Batcave and one flag past Docks, because those are the areas where, you know, if your team has control of both those areas, you're controlling the whole map. Like, you shouldn't need to control the enemy spawn to cap out. So that's a cap out. On the Axis side, like pizzeria control and having the long alley control, like where there's a garden. Again, as allies, if you control all of that, you should be capping out. And if your team can't cap out and you're dominating your route, you know, you can go past Batcave and cap that flag and just hold it from those angles that we already know are good for you. All right. And have impact just by winning your route. So I think that is the best option, is just moving those flags and keeping the map as it is and see how it plays out. Those are my thoughts on this map. It was a lot of fun watching these demos. A lot of good plays, good players came to this LAN and showed up on this map. So I got to see a wide range of strategies. I was really happy to see the top teams playing the map pretty well. You know, seeing teams overload the rope house, especially seeing them be patient, kind of understanding their limitations as a team when they're ahead on the map. Like, that stuff was all just wonderful to watch. So I hope this criticism and explanation is taken the way that I intended, as a sign of respect and hoping to help make this community even better than it already is. Take care. Peace.